Hey folks, welcome back to Misty and Ike, a daily pop culture podcast, produced by Brickyard Media Group. And now here's your hosts, Misty Roberts and Isaac Heckert. Wanted! That'll be the promo for this episode. Let's give it a little bloop, and then we'll come in for real. Ready?
Give it a bloop?
Yeah.
Am I turning this off?
Yeah.
Bloop.
Welcome back, everybody. Stick 'em up. Watch our show and give me your wallet. Because it's
Jesse James Day.
Jesse James Day.
So today, Jesse James and his Outlaw gang robbed a train in Missouri.
Yep.
And it started their crime spree.
That's right.
And he's an interesting character. So, I mean, I think that a lot of us got to know a little bit about Jesse James and his gang in a little movie called Young Guns.
Yep.
And I wanted to know more about him, like the real guy.
Before we start.
Yeah.
I'm working on a joke about this, so I'm just going to try it.
Oh.
It's not really a joke, but the premise of the joke has to do with there not being any social media back in that day.
Okay.
And if you wanted to be famous as an outlaw, as you're robbing a train or you're robbing a bank, you had to leave one person alive and be like, you tell him it was Jesse James that robbed you.
You're right.
To make a name for yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
So maybe we have to go rob trains and tell them, you tell him Misty and Ike robbed you.
I mean, I feel like robbing the Amtrak these days is a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to get off the Amtrak.
Yeah. And they have,
Cameras.
yeah. track you by your cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we might need to think a little into that plan.
Okay. Well, if you had to pick between robbing a train and robbing a bank, what would you rob?
A bank.
Oh, really?
It would have more money
You think so?
than a train.
What about a bank train?
We don't do that anymore.
I mean, back in the day, you got to put yourself in the time period.
You mean back then?
Yeah.
Oh, train, definitely.
Rob the gold train.
Yeah, it'd be way more fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm in it for adventure.
I need to Google if horses were actually able to keep up with trains back then.
I think they probably were. I don't think trains were that fast then.
Well, the trains are like multiple horsepower, and you're only riding one horse. I saw that. Was it Sick Vic that posted that thing the other day about a pregnant horse running twice as fast because it's got 2 horsepower? Shout out, Vic.
Shout out, Vic.
Let's get into Jesse and his James gang.
All right. Well, so Jesse James and like a lot of his gang were family members.
Oh, yeah. You can trust your kin.
Yeah. There was
Kinfolk.
Frank James and Jesse James, and then there were 3 brothers, the younger brothers, Bob, Jim, and Cole. Bob, Jim, and Cole.
Why is Jim always followed after Bob?
Jim Bob.
Jim Bob.
Because it should be. It's just how it is.
Yep.
It's just life.
You know Jesse James was a preacher's son?
I did not know that.
That's what it says right here on history.com. And I think that there is Frank and Jesse James' mother, Zerelda.
Oh, Zerelda. She lived a rough life.
Yeah, well, they was born up there in Clay County, Missouri.
I know where that's at.
Do you? Have you been there?
It's not too far. Yeah, I have actually.
Did you know when you were there that it was the home of the Jesse James?
Yeah,
gang?
they make a big deal out of it.
Is that the only? That's probably the only thing ever going on there.
Yeah, it
in
really
Clay
is.
County.
Other than tornadoes, like whenever we would get the tornado warnings at home on the TV, it would always start in Clay County. It's like Clay County is under advisement. Take shelter.
Y'all get up in the cellar, Clay County.
Yeah,
All
pretty
right.
much. We had a cellar when I was a little kid. My grandparents
You
did.
know, somebody was just talking
Like
about that the other
you
day.
had to go outside and open it, like in the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, you couldn't get to it from the house?
No, you had to go outside. It was a big door in the ground that opened up, and you went down into the outdoor cellar.
When do you think they figured out that it was safer to keep the door to the cellar inside?
I don't know.
Okay.
We all survived.
Yeah. Did you go down there sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, that was my grandparents' house, and we lived like a few miles away. And I definitely remember my mom like throwing me in the car and driving very quickly there, and like running from the car into the cellar.
Whoa.
Yeah, we had tornadoes.
We had tornadoes.
They happened on the reg.
I wonder if the James gang was ever caught in a tornado.
I bet they probably were.
Yeah.
Before Jesse James became an outlaw, he was actually shot in the chest on 2 separate occasions.
What?
And still was like, I'm still going to be an outlaw.
Wow, he's like the 50 Cent of the old time.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so in 1864, he was trying to steal a saddle from a farmer. And then again, the following year, he got shot in the chest by a Union soldier. And he lived through both of them. So he probably at that point was like, well, if I can live through that, I'm going to go be an outlaw.
That's right. I mean, stealing a saddle, that's a hanging a fence back in those days.
That's a big deal.
Steal a horse, it's even worse. They'll kill you twice.
Absolutely.
You know, James and his cohorts. Yep. Eluded the Pinkertons. Here's a picture of...
What were the Pinkertons?
For some reason, here's Alan Pinkerton on the left and President Abraham Lincoln. But the Pinkertons were basically the first FBI.
Oh.
We got to do a whole episode on them. We can't go... Yeah, they're the law back in the day. Before the Marshals, before anything else.
Yeah, I want to know more about them. That's interesting.
I love the Pinkertons.
Okay.
I like them almost as much as I like stamps.
That's a lot we know from yesterday.
Yeah, they were the law back in the day, and they protected wagons and trains.
Okay.
And some of they were like a private security, but not really. They were actually from the government.
Right. Well, yeah, there's pictures there with Abraham Lincoln.
You could hire them, but they also work for the government. It's kind of a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a cousin kisser.
Was he?
He married his first cousin, Zerelda Z. Meems, who was named after his mother. There's something just kind of weird and creepy about that.
There wasn't a whole lot of pickings back then, though.
I think that you didn't need to necessarily marry someone that was named after your own mom.
I like that.
You want to talk about Oedipus complex.
I like that number 7 you got going there.
His nickname was Dingus.
Wow.
He shot off the tip of his finger while cleaning his pistol because he didn't like to curse. He said, "That's a dude dingus pistol I ever saw."
Wow.
That's the dude dingus.
Maybe that's my nickname.
Dude dingus?
Well, I think it was.
I don't even think I can say that.
It might have been Dodd, as in like Dodd, darn it, instead of like for God. Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't there. Do you know his gang was defeated trying to rob a bank in Minnesota?
I did not know that.
That's a really long paragraph. Too long to read, but looks like they
tried to rob the First National Bank of Northfield, Minnesota.
Yep. And it sounds like some radical Republican politician put $75,000 in the bank the day before.
Oh.
And they tried to go jack that stuff.
Yeah, they did.
I would too. $75,000 back then, I'd retire.
Yeah.
What year?
Yeah, that was a lot of money back then.
1876. Mm-hmm. Let me find out how much money was worth in 1876.
While you look at that, so he super loved publicity.
Yeah, he did.
And
he would be so good at Twitter.
Oh, he would be the king of social media. He was known to hand out press releases to witnesses at the scenes of his crime that described the crime. And some of them...
Oh, he wrote...
He would write up a press release
he tweeted about his own,
wow. They would do it. And then while they were doing it, hand out press releases for witnesses to give like interviews and stuff later.
That's nuts.
So he also would exaggerate his height. But he wrote one that said, "The most daring robbery on record. The southbound train on the Iron Mountain Railroad was stopped here this evening by 5 heavily armed men and robbed of blank dollars. The robbers were all large men, none of them under 6 feet tall. They were masked and started in a southerly direction after they had robbed the train, mounted on fine-blooded horses. Mm-hmm. There is a hell of an excitement in this part of the country." That was a press release he wrote about a bank robbery.
That's so smart.
He was his own Twitter.
I found out how much money was worth in 1876.
Okay, how much was that?
Look at this. I got the calculator up too. $100 in 1876 is worth $2,515.84 today. So if you take 75,000 and you divide it by $100, you get $750 times 25,1584. You get $1,886,880. So $75,000 in 1876 is almost $2 million today. That's worth robbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, like part of the thing about his like gang was that they had this Robin Hood image that they would steal from the rich and give to the poor.
Yeah, that's not true, is it?
No, there's no evidence whatsoever that they ever gave any money to anyone, and like evidence actually says that they kept all of it for themselves. That was not even a thing. He was a okay looking guy though.
He was. Here's a picture of him. And here's how he died. He was murdered at 34 You would think.
Murder!
How do you think he died?
I would have thought that he got shot.
A lot of people
like hail of gunfire.
Yeah, well, rather than dying in a hail of gunfire while robbing a bank or a train, the legendary Jesse James was brought down while dusting a picture on the wall of his rented home in St. Joseph, Missouri. You ever been there?
I sure have. I used to date a fine boy from there.
In 1882, his wife and 2 children were in another room at the time. James' assassin, who shot him in the back of the head, was Bob Ford, a new recruit into his gang.
Oh.
Also in on the shooting was Bob's older brother, Charlie, a James gang member. Earlier that year, Bob Ford had arranged with the governor of Missouri to take down Jesse in exchange for a reward.
Holy crap. Yeah. This was some like underground, like, what do they call that now? You're not an informant, undercover.
Undercover, yeah, but check it out. After the Fords announced to the authorities they'd killed the infamous outlaw, they were convicted of murder and sentenced to hang. The governor quickly pardoned him, though.
Of course.
The public was transfixed by James's murder, and the Fords soon began reenacting the event in a traveling show. What?
Oh, that is dark.
Hey, Misty, you want to go kill somebody?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then what?
We're going to get caught.
Okay.
And then the governor's going to pardon us.
Oh, okay.
Then we're going to take it on the road. Pew, 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 pew.
Governor Handsome's going to pardon us?
Governor Handsome's going to let us go do our traveling murder show.
I don't feel good about this.
Look at these gun tricks I can do.
Oh, you and your little plastic doodad.
Hey, this is what hangs in the lobby.
It sure is.
These are the weapons we carry here at Brickyard Media Group.
Props.
His remains were exhumed.
For what?
In 1995.
I mean, they knew what happened.
1995, scientists seeking to resolve the question of who was buried in James's grave exhumed his supposed remains from the Mount Olivet Cemetery in Kearney, Missouri. You ever been there?
I have been to Kearney, Missouri.
The remains that had been transferred there in 1902 were from the original burial site on the James family farm. After conducting DNA testing, the researchers concluded the exhumed remains were almost certainly those of the 19th century outlaw. What would they have to compare it to?
I don't know.
Oh, well, these here sure are James remains.
Right? How would you know?
Because science, Misty. That's how we know. It's science.
Okay. Well, this one I find real weird, too. Like, he was a very weird character.
Yeah.
So, he took his gang with him when he went on his honeymoon to Austin.
Well, you got to keep your security around you.
Well, they robbed a stagecoach while he was on his honeymoon.
Well, you got to get some work. Are you here for business? Okay, here we go. All right. I'm Jesse James, checking into a hotel.
Well, hello there, sir. How can I help you today?
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to check in for my honeymoon with me and my fine wife here and my gang, the James gang. Maybe you've heard of us. We rob trains and banks.
Oh, sir.
We might rob your hotel while we're here.
I don't feel good about that.
Well, check us in, lady, or I'll stick them up and give us some keys.
So, well, let me ask you this first.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you here for business or pleasure?
Oh, well, don't you worry, ma'am. I'm here for my honeymoon.
So, pleasure.
Yes, well.
So, you're not going to rob our hotel?
Well, I won't rob your hotel.
Oh, okay.
While I'm here.
Well,
that
that's all I'm worried about, Mr.
I might
James.
still get some business done while I'm here on my honeymoon.
Like,
right, honey?
Maybe a stagecoach?
Perhaps.
Okay, that's fine. It's not our hotel, so that's fine.
Yep. But it's coming to your hotel with all your money.
Oh, my goodness.
Honey, get up onto the room. Boys, go ahead and rob that train. Let's go. Pew, pew, pew.
Oh, man.
And I was 15 minutes on train robbing Jesse James.
Well, I think that this is the perfect way to end it right here.
I do, too. I like there's also that movie.
No, I have one more fact.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were actually
that guy that shot him, Bob Ford.
Yeah.
He shot him with his own pistol.
He took his own pistol.
His own pistol was used to kill him. It was his own gun.
Wow. I like number 18, too.
Jesse's son starred in 2 silent films about his father's life, playing the role of himself and his father. That's weird, too.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
At the end of Young Guns, I liked it when Jesse James was still alive at the on the side of the highway.
Maybe that's why they had to exhume him, because there were rumors after the movie. Like, oh, maybe they're onto something.
Man,
and he didn't really die.
Did that in 1995? If I look up 1995 and that's when Young Guns came out, I bet the movie paid for it. Let's do that.
You know, while you're doing that, I am going to ask you your opinion. 88. Do you think Young Guns is better or Tombstone?
They're different movies.
They are.
They're different movies.
We should do a versus.
Oh,
that's a versus episode.
Oh,
right
I don't
there.
know. I don't know. Tombstone is a masterpiece unto itself.
Val Kilmer will never do anything more perfect.
I got
never
2 guns. one for both of you. Actually, he will. It's a movie called Heat, the best movie that's ever been made.
It's great. It's no Tombstone. Sorry.
All right, fine. He also was Batman, so let's keep that in mind.
It wasn't the best.
Well, since we're not Batman,
we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.